Hey, Truth Seekers, welcome back. Zach here. Today is December 21st, 2014, a date with a numerology of 47. I want to talk about Mahatma Gandhi as well as other civil rights leaders, especially those who have spoken out about nonviolence. And I want to talk about how nonviolence in itself is a lie, is part of the deception. And we will get into that. And if you disagree, it's okay. I respect all disagreement. I respect all alternative perspectives, but I'm going to share with you a point of view that I think is well thought out, and by the end we'll see what you think. So, Mahatma Gandhi. Most people would probably never believe that this man was a hoax, but what I tell you is it makes all the sense that he would be. Because why else would we even know about him? The only people we get to learn about are people that the Zionist agents who are in control of our media and essentially world information, all we get are the stories that they want us to know about. So, why do we know about Mahatma Gandhi? Well, he talked a lot about nonviolence, and I think that's why we know about him, because it's conditioning this message of nonviolence. And maybe we should just start there with nonviolence. Why would they want us to understand nonviolence? Because think about what it is to be the ruling elite of this world. What we can tell about them without any doubt is that they have no respect for humanity and are people who condone and use violence on a daily basis. It is a way of their operation. So, what better way to make their life easier than to condition the world's population to be nonviolent? In other words, non resistant. This morning, I had a user try to explain to me that his way of operating is simple. He doesn't mess with other people, and they don't mess with him. Well, fair enough. That's the way I go through life too. But sometimes you'll find that people will mess with you. Like I recently was robbed by someone that I was very nice and open and helpful to. That person messed with me. And so far, I haven't messed with them back. But see, what happened between me and my neighbor that I'm talking about is a small microcosm. It's not the same as what's happening to us on a societal level. We're all being messed with every day by violent, awful liars. And in large part, they know we're not going to do anything back because we're nonviolent. We're also passive. We're also apathetic. We're also tuned out. We're on chemicals. We're unwell. But nonviolence is a major part of it. So, anyhow, let's look at Gandhi for a little bit and then we'll come back to this. Gandhi was assassinated in the Birla House, as it's come to be known. He was assassinated at 5:17 p.m. in military time. This is 1717 hours. 1717. And I'll show you why that's curious. Also, the year 38. All right. So the word kill in gematria, with Pythagorean gematria, it sums to 17. Again, he was killed at 1717. With the K exception, it's 26, like the God number. With simple English gematria, it's 44. So he was killed in this place that has a gematria of 47, 56, and 110, Birla House. Right away, these numbers stand out. These are major numbers that you see in important words. The word president has the exact same gematria pattern, 47, 56, 110. If we summed out the word president with these same methods, we'd get the same things. World Trade Centers 1 and 2 were 110 stories tall. World Trade Center 7 was 47 floors tall, 110, 47. The parameters of the gematria of that number. Just like the name Osama bin Laden, 47, 56, 110. And what do Osama bin Laden, the World Trade Centers, and Gandhi have in common? Well, let's just say they're monumental. They're all things that are registered in all of our brains and we make connections to. And probably we associate words such as peace and violence with those things. All right. So as for his 1948 death, here's the things that stand out to me. The word Illuminati in Pythagorean gematria is 48. Look at what the letters turn into. 9, 3, 3, 3, 49, 51, 29. Where have we seen these numbers, Truth Seeker? 93 is Thelema, Saturn, 33, Genesis, Revelation, 51, Conspiracy, 29 is the first number with a numerology of 11. With the larger method, Illuminati sums to 130. Many people say there's 13 Illuminati families. 13 times 10 is 130. It's also a number with a numerology of 13. The word hoax itself also has a gematria of 48. And that reminds me of our nation, United States of America, which is in Pythagorean gematria sums to 84, a reflection of 48. And I've always thought this nation was a hoax from beginning to present. So his date and time of death is awfully curious alone. This 1717 time. The killer is even more curious. Nathuram Godse. Nathuram is a name with a gematria of 33. 33. Pythagorean method. And with simple English gematria, it sums to 96, like the word Freemason, like the word Satanism. The last name with Pythagorean gematria sums to 32, like America, like UK, like the Declaration of Independence state numerology. Simple English gematria, it sums to 50, like the 50 states. He was put to death in the year 1949 at the age of 39. That is Mahatma Gandhi's assassin right here, Truth Seeker. A man with a 33 name. So common. Especially in these hoaxes. So now let's look at the gematria of Mahatma Gandhi. This is not his birth name. This is the name he went by. In Pythagorean gematria, Mahatma's 21 and Gandhi's 34. Put it together, 55. The word numerology equals 55. The word Satan equals 55. So does the word heaven. With simple English gematria, his name sums to 100. 100 even. Here is his full legal name. It is even more curious. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. Mohandas has the Pythagorean gematria of 30 and 39 with the S exception. 75 with simple English gematria. The middle name, Karamchand, has a Pythagorean gematria of 38 or 47, and a simple English gematria of the name 74. 74 is the most important number in simple English gematria. The word simple equals 74. The word English equals 74. The word gematria equals 74. The word Jesus equals 74. The word cross equals 74. Of the 50 states, only one state has a gematria of 74. It is Oregon, the 33rd state. It's said that Jesus died on April 3rd and was resurrected on April 6th on the current calendar. Many Christian historians argue that. April 3rd, Gandhi, the name has a gematria of 43 that way. Simple English gematria. So, again, Truth Seeker, the point I was making about this nonviolence, I'm saying what it really does to us is it just pacifies us further and it makes us less of a threat to the enemy, the people who hold this tyranny over our life and who either killed Mahatma Gandhi or made the legend of him and falsified his death as they do with so many others. It doesn't really matter which one of those is the truth because either way it gets to the same point and it's based in lies, deception, dishonesty, and all things wrong. And the thing is I'm not saying we should be violent. I'm not a violent person. I don't like to hurt people. I'm all about doing nice things for people. Anytime I do anything that hurts anybody, I feel bad. So I know as a human being, we're not supposed to be violent, bad people. It's not in our nature. It's bred into us. But I do think because we live in this hostile world ran by legit killers, I think we need to, as a society, hold the card of violent retaliation if necessary. And what I mean by that, truth seeker, is, and I can get myself into trouble for saying these things, and I don't mean to come across as trying to provoke these things, because they can only be done when we're well enough organized. There's things that have to be done before these types of things happen. But if we were an organized people and we held this card of violent retaliation if necessary, this means we could do things that need to be done. Because whether you realize it or not, truth seeker, the biggest obstacles to justice in this world, in the United States right now, are upheld by the police departments and the courts. These are the blockers of justice. These are the obstacles. And if we were an organized people, we could overthrow the courts and the police officers. And we could reorganize as an honest citizenry of police who are actually out for just justice instead of corruption and writing tickets. Police officers are so worthless, truth seeker. The police officer who responded to my burglary, I gave him so much information to work with, phone numbers to call, because I already knew everything that was done. I have found out that the police officer has made 0 phone calls to date. He hasn't called anyone. He hasn't done anything. He has done nothing. So what is that, truth seeker? This is one example of many. People already know how worthless the police are. And this is just further proof. I mean, it just disgusts me. I'm in a situation right now where I was robbed by my neighbor, and I can't get any justice. I've been having to stay on the police department. They're not doing anything. It just makes me sick. I have to pay taxes for this? For what? So I can get tickets for going 5 over the speed limit? And when I get robbed by my neighbor, insulted by the police department. The whole thing's been an insult, truth seeker. When I called about the burglary, they asked me to wait outside. It was freezing cold that day. It was in the middle of Boco Genesis, if you can remember that. It was like 15 degrees outside. It took them 3 hours to get here. I did yard work. Oh, truth seeker, it's bad. Anyhow, let's look at some nonviolence quotes real quick. Nonviolence is the greatest force at the disposal of mankind. It is mightier than the mightiest weapon of destruction devised by the ingenuity of man. And that quote's from Gandhi. Think about it, truth seeker. Think about it. Here's one from Malcolm X. I am for violence if nonviolence means we continue postponing a solution to the American black man's problem just to avoid violence. I'll tell you something interesting about Malcolm X, truth seeker. His assassin got a 44-year prison sentence, like the word kill. His name gematria is also 44, and his code name has a gematria of 33. I have that post written on my blog. I could look it up right now, but you're welcome to go there and search for it. Here's Nelson Mandela, another character that's part of the hoax. I don't know how people get fooled by this stuff, you guys. And look at this. Here's Jack Canfield. He is a motivational speaker, talks about a lot about this nonviolence. Let me show you something about this guy real quick. Let's read his quote first. One individual can begin a movement that turns the tide of history. Martin Luther King and the Civil Rights Movement, Mahatma Gandhi in India, Nelson Mandela in South America are examples of people standing up with courage and nonviolence to bring about needed changes. Well, truth seeker, you know what? These quotes are lies. One individual can begin a movement? Not really. That's not true, and this quote's misleading. Look at how he jumps right to Martin Luther King Jr. Well, Martin Luther King Jr. came to fame on the back of all the black Americans who'd been at this work before him. The event that he first spoke at was organized by black Americans who'd been working at it for decades before Martin Luther King Jr. was even around. So he isn't one man. He came on the backs of other men who haven't gotten their credit and their due. And by the way, truth seeker, Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated on April 4th, 1968. 1 year to the day, April 4th, 1967, of him coming out against America's war machine and the Vietnam War for the first time. He never spoke out against the United States foreign policy, militarism, any of that. It was a new area, and he got much flack for it. He got shot down by Lyndon B. Johnson, the president at the time. He got deserted by political allies. And then he was assassinated a year to the day later on 4/4. Remember I just said how 44 equals kill? His assassin got a 44-year prison sentence. Remember, Pythagorean gematria, kill equals 17. He died at 1717. Nelson Mandela's death was also a recent curiosity. Here's another quote from Mahatma. My religion is based on truth and nonviolence. Truth is my God. Nonviolence is the means of realizing him. Truth Seeker, again, I want to tell you, I almost believe in these quotes, and I think in a better world they'd be true. But I know in this world, nonviolence is not our friend. In the time of nonviolence, in the time of Mahatma Gandhi, in the time of Martin Luther King Jr., the tyranny of the world has spread farther and thicker than it ever has before. Things have actually gotten worse in this world since we had these leaders. More people believe in nonviolence because of these people. And I don't want to say they're wrong in doing so, but what I want to say is we have to wake up to what nonviolence has done. It has enabled our enemy. They have become more bold. They have become more daring. They obviously are not intimidated by us at all. Look at what they do to us. They bombard us every day with fake media that's completely unbelievable. Cram it down our throats and laugh at us. What have they done? They've depressed wages. They've caused more wars. They've made the food more chemically contaminated. They've sedated us with more chemicals. Nothing as good has happened in the time of having these leaders. The world has become much worse. Now all these people are dead, and we're still looking to them. Oh yeah, this Jack Canfield, I never even went to him. This guy's celebrating him. Look at what year he's born in. 1944. 1944. This is all part of the sick joke, Truth Seeker. It's all part of the sick joke. Oh, Truth Seeker, it's bad. It's bad. And I just need to bring you a real honest post and let you know something that I really know in my heart. When I did that post about how I wouldn't do anything bad to my neighbor to bring violence, and all that into my neighborhood, I meant it. And I still wouldn't do that. But there is another part of me who understands that the reason this neighbor, who's 30 years older than me, is still able to walk the earth and do wrong to people, because I guarantee you this guy's done a lot of wrong to people over the years. He's been in 7 marriages. He has multiple children with multiple women. Just, to me, all that stuff's disgusting. I know a lot of people think that's just normal and stuff, but to me that's just all signs of our sick society. I think people who have children need to suck it up and realize it's not all about them, But it's obvious that people don't do that in this world. And it's obvious people do things like rob their neighbor. And part of the reason is why is because we become so passive and weak. This guy probably should have been put in his place a long time ago across the street that lives from me. He probably should have been 6 feet under 30 years ago. He told me all through his 20s and mid-30s he was a junkie. He probably should have been gone back then. And honestly, Truth Seeker, I wish he was gone. I wish I'd never crossed paths with this guy. And again, it's just a microcosm. What I'm talking about is just a microcosm of what we all go through every day. Because we live in a world ran by people who should have been ran out a long time ago. But they maintain power and they stay in power. And they do it through trickery, including Martin Luther King Jr. and Gandhi and their message of nonviolence. We don't want to be violent people, but we want to show them there is a wall, there is a limit. And when you reach that wall, that limit, whatever you want to call it, then that's when we retaliate. And by retaliate, we have to be strategic. Here's strategic. We get rid of Congress. We get rid of the Senate. We get rid of the Supreme Court. We get rid of the police departments. We get rid of the courts. We get rid of all the things that uphold all that is wrong with this world. That's what we got to do, Truth Seeker. And it's not an easy thing that we have to do. It's a very difficult thing. For those of you who think we're just going to be nonviolent, well, then what you've signed up for is just riding this out until we reach the day of destruction, because that's where they're taking us. And the only way to get us off the path, the only hope, is to overthrow them. And I'm not saying we're going to do that with a war and by being super violent, but I am saying some targeted violence will be part of the formula, part of what's necessary. These people aren't going to submit without it. So we have to wake up to the full truth, truth seeker. And part of the full truth is looking at what the reality of this world is. When you watch the animal world, you don't see nonviolence. Lions don't sit under the tree and talk about nonviolence. Violence is a part of this world. It's not the whole world, but it's a part. And when you shut it out all the way, well, you open yourself up to a whole new world of problems, which is what we're experiencing. All right. Until next time, Truth Seeker.